So recently there was a huge ban wave in Pokemon Go, and it seems like a very specific set of players have been affected. I really want to talk about this, but I've been kind of putting it off because I want to get more information regarding this, and it looks like there is plenty of information that we can confirm regarding who was banned and what is the cause for these bans. Alright, how's it going everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. Alright, so yeah, if you've been paying attention to some of the Pokemon Go community news, there has been a huge ban wave with the most recent update. Pokemon Go was updated a couple of days ago, and with that update, it looks like a lot of players were finding that their accounts were permanently banned. And some of the players that were reporting their bans were stating that they did nothing wrong. Of course, this is kind of like the big story that always happens where there is a huge ban wave and a lot of false positives happen, but this time in particular, I think it's related to one specific thing, and that is of course the new level cap. With a lot of players, they were actually able to hit level 80 way faster than they should have. It was one of those things where a lot of players were calling out cheating. I don't necessarily know the details for how these players were able to hit level 80 so quickly, but there was definitely some shenanigans involved, and it was pretty obvious for pretty much any player. Mainly because I think someone actually did the calculation, and it would have taken at least 20 or so days to hit level 80 if you were to do everything. I think the soonest legitimate level 80 is going to happen, I believe they said on November 18th of this year. So yeah, the fact that some players were able to circumvent some of the time-gated mechanics in order to hit level 80 right away, there is definitely cheating involved. And I do think Niantic was very quick to address these cheaters. They did do a huge ban wave specifically on these cheaters, and it looks like a lot of them completely lost their account. So this is definitely something where I feel like it's a huge lesson for pretty much any Pokemon Go player. Cheating will never be something that will be safe for you to do in Pokemon Go. I'm talking about spoofing, I'm talking about using maps or anything like that. I've pretty much done a complete sweep of my own account, making sure I don't do anything that breaks the terms of service. And I think for a lot of players, they freely use these cheats because they think they can get away with it. But history has shown that Niantic will address cheaters pretty much every single time. So yeah, this was like a new cheating scandal regarding Pokemon Go. A lot of players were finding that they were able to hit level 80 through some sort of illegitimate means, and a lot of those players, I think almost all of those players, are now completely banned from Pokemon Go. Now another ban wave was also hit in a specific region of the world, and that was actually South Korea. I was actually at South Korea earlier this year, and I do plan to go back next year. And it looks like from everything that I've heard within the South Korean Pokemon Go community is that a majority of players who do play legitimately were suddenly banned. I wonder if this is something to do with like spoof detection, like maybe they have something within their own personal algorithms that detects cheaters, and for some reason it just pinged a bunch of players in South Korea. But I thought this was a bit concerning because when it comes to false positives, this is something that Niantic does need to tread carefully, because when they do a huge ban wave, you're potentially going to be banning players who shouldn't be banned. That is something that has been happening. Even some of the content creators that you are watching, they were banned at one point, you know, some of them. I mean, the most famous one recently was, of course, Trainer Club, but there's also Lucky Buns, who's a content creator that I've been following for several years. But at one point, he was actually a false positive ban, and it took a while for Niantic, I think almost a year, to get his account back. And I'm glad he did get his account back, but yeah, that's just one of the big cases where players could actually get banned when they don't do anything. At least presumably we know they're not doing anything, but you know, we don't know. I mean, yeah, for all these people who are getting banned and claiming it's a false positive, yeah, there is a chance that they might be doing something that is breaking the terms of service. Niantic does reserve the right to ban pretty much any player that is playing their game. That's the nature of playing a game where you're not even the owner of the game, obviously. So yeah, I think this is all very interesting. I think this is all something that is definitely generating conversations within the Pokemon Go community. I think when it comes to cheating, it's always been my stance that do it at your own risk. I'm not going to condone or condemn cheating in Pokemon Go. I used to have a very hard stance against cheating, and that really wasn't that constructive. People are just going to cheat regardless of what you say. I personally do not support cheating. I personally would never use spoofing. I never would have. If I knew about this level 80 cheat, I would have never done it. I know the consequences of getting caught, and it's kind of easy to get caught in this regard, right? Like, level 80, that's just a marker on your account. If you hit level 80 before you're supposedly supposed to, then yeah, you're probably going to be suspected of cheating. So yeah, I think this is all really good. I know there's going to be some players out there who agree with this big ban wave. I think a lot of people were really frustrated at some of these cheaters who hit level 80 so quickly. And I think even some content creators, I saw that even Pokédaxi made a video regarding the level 80 cheaters. So, you know, I think this was a pretty big deal, and Niantic was very quick to act on it. But the South Korea thing I'm a bit concerned about. I'm not really too sure what's going on there. It does seem like it was specifically for a subset of players within a specific region, and we don't really have any information regarding that. We do not know if they were all cheating. I actually played with a couple of people in South Korea, not this most recent time, but the last time I went to South Korea, it was back when the game was kind of first released and there was not any Pokemon Go in Korea. But we went to one specific corner of the country where Pokemon Go was actually active, and I saw a lot of people who were there to play Pokemon Go. But the one thing that I did notice is that a lot of them were actually spoofing. And I totally get it, because when it comes to South Korea, you really can't play Pokemon Go at that time. It wasn't available. They do not have Google Maps, and Pokemon Go was run on Google Maps back then. So yeah, I think a lot of players did cheat in Pokemon Go back then, but simply because they just could not play the game otherwise. But I really do think that if there is a reason, a legitimate reason for why a lot of these players got banned in South Korea, I think Niantic needs to communicate that. Not only so that players are aware that, hey, this is a bannable offense, but mainly because a lot of people are just going to treat this as false positives. So I really hope they do come out with something. Maybe they could say, maybe in a blog post or in a Niantic support post on Twitter, that they just banned a whole bunch of players for cheating. I would like to know the reasons why, but of course, this is Niantic we're talking about. They're not really good about communicating in transparency, as we all know, but I do know that's not necessarily entirely their fault. It is because they have to report to, Nintendo and the Pokemon Company, and it seems like the Pokemon Company likes to keep their lips shut, and they do not like Niantic just freely saying whatever they want. I've heard this internally from people who work at Niantic, and I won't say who said that. I just think this is something that players need to recognize, and it's one of the reasons why I've kind of toned down on calling Niantic to actually be more transparent. I did find out it's mainly because of Nintendo and the Pokemon Company. So if you want to point fingers at the reason why Niantic is not that transparent from the beginning, it's specifically because of Nintendo. But that's besides the point. I do wish they were to say something though, because I think for a lot of people who are getting banned right now, it's a very bad timing, because we are getting the Wild Area event next week. And for a lot of those players, they're probably disappointed that they won't be able to participate. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to talk about in this video. I just wanted to kind of kick back and discuss some of my thoughts regarding some of this stuff. I know I'm a little bit outdated or a little bit late with this video because all of this was happening earlier in the week, but again, I kind of wanted to let it cook. I kind of wanted to see what information is coming out, because when the ban wave initially happened, we really did not know what was going on. So yeah, but now that we know, this is basically all my thoughts on it. So, but in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Definitely share your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below. What are your thoughts regarding this ban wave? Do you feel like it was justified, or do you feel like Niantic is overreaching? Definitely share your thoughts, and yeah, I would like to see them in the comments below. So make sure you share them, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that notification bell so you know exactly when I upload videos. And real quick, let me give a shout out to every single one of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, the best way you could do that is going to be, of course, joining my Patreon. And if you decide to become a paid Patreon member, I'm actually going to add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. So that means for stuff like remote raids, the friendship system, opening and sending gifts, all that good stuff. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. I'll put a link to it in the description below. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you're always welcome to do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms you see right now on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. That'll be a huge help to my channel, and you'll have access to some exclusive content, and you'll be able to keep up with my daily life. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself today, and I'll catch you all later.